Hi everyone, welcome to my channel 100 Books for Ears. This is episode 3 of my reading challenge to complete 100 books throughout my high school year. And today I'll be reviewing Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse. The book is set in India during the caste system, which is India's social hierarchy, and it's divided into the Brahmins, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, the Shudras, and the Dalits. The Brahmins are at the top of the hierarchy, consisting of priests and scholars, followed by the Kshatriyas, the warriors and kings, then the Vaishyas, the artisans and the traders, and finally the Shudras, the manual laborers. The Dalits, also known as the untouchables, were excluded from society and treated as outcasts. They lived on the outskirts and did tasks such as street sweeping and toilet cleaning. The book tells the story of Siddhartha, a wealthy Brahmin's son, as he embarks on a long journey to find his true identity through enlightenment. Dissatisfied with his overly generous and easygoing life due to his social status, Siddhartha decides to leave society and pursue a spiritual lifestyle through becoming a samana, renouncing possessions and pleasure. For decades, Siddhartha lived with other samanas in a forest, accompanied by his friend Govinda. As he slowly adapts to a spiritual lifestyle, he realizes that learning from others' wisdom will not lead him to enlightenment, and he believes that identity should be discovered by oneself. This changed perspective leads Siddhartha to leave Govinda and the samanas, and even when the Buddha confronts him and shares his knowledge, Siddhartha reluctantly refuses to follow, instead immersing himself in the material world. With this new lifestyle, Siddhartha allows himself into pleasure, getting into a partnership with a woman named Kamala, while getting addicted to gambling and binging. Ultimately, through endless indulgence, he loses his inner voice, which has guided his spirit, symbolizing his separation from the path of enlightenment he intended to follow. He soon falls into nihilism and attempts suicide, but fails. After his low point, Siddhartha meets a ferryman named Vasudeva, the same person who had brought him from the forest to the material world when he was a samana. Vasudeva tells Siddhartha to listen to the river. Siddhartha finally realizes that life, like a river, is singular yet incessant, cyclical, and that every part of it is intertwined. He reconciles with his past experiences of spiritual connection, lust, suffering, and unified them as a whole cycle of his life. In the end, Siddhartha attains enlightenment, not through doctrine, but through the totality of his own lived experience. When he reunites with Govinda, his old friend asks for one final teaching, still believing that wisdom must be passed down through words as he learned from the Buddha. Instead of explaining, Siddhartha invites Govinda to kiss his forehead. In that moment, Govinda experiences a vision in which all forms of life merge into one, granting him a direct vision of the unity Siddhartha has realized. Their meeting highlights the novel's central message. The most profound wisdom cannot be taught by others. It must be discovered personally. Throughout Siddhartha's journey, he dreams of different things that directly reflect his inner transformation, as well as the symbols that mark major turning points in his life. His first dream shows just how torn he feels after leaving behind companionship to pursue self-discovery. In it, he embraces Govinda, not as a friend, but as a woman, which signals the moment Siddhartha starts drifting away from the spiritual path and towards a life of a householder. When he tastes the milk that represents human desire and pleasure, he becomes aware of lust for the first time. This dream captures his excitement to experience love and happiness, because at that point, he genuinely believes that these new emotions will help him learn more about himself. But that hopeful attitude doesn't last. As he sinks deeper into pleasure and comfort, his spiritual identity begins to hollow out. That's why his second dream is so important. In it, a small bird that once sang every day is now silent and dead in a cage, and Siddhartha throws it away. The bird represents his inner voice, the spiritual guide that had carried him through every struggle so far. Its silence makes it clear that Siddhartha has drifted completely away from the enlightenment he used to seek. By the end, Siddhartha realizes that abandoning the discipline and purpose of his past has left him empty. His dreams reveal the truth that in chasing desire, one only moves further away from their true identity. One of the most memorable quotes in Siddhartha is when he says, "Striving for your goal, there are many things you don't see, which are directly in front of you." This quote reveals Siddhartha's realization that excessive focus on a single goal can narrow a person's vision. In his own journey, his intense drive to achieve enlightenment made him overlook the simple experiences and everyday moments that could have taught him just as much, if not more, than disciplined spiritual practices. It marks a turning point in his thinking. Instead of chasing a distant destination, Siddhartha begins to understand that wisdom often comes from what is already around him, waiting to be noticed. The line emphasizes one of the novel's central ideas, that true insight doesn't come from force or obsession, but from slowing down, observing, and being fully present in your own life. That wraps up episode 3 of 100 Books for Ears. Thanks for watching. If you like this, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for episode 4. Bye.